We live in a world where sex workers are being made fun of and ridiculed and despised. We see men have fun with them behind closed doors and make fun of them in open doors. Actually, 2 out of every 3 sex workers started sex work before the age of 19, which means 18 or younger, which just indicates that most of them were being raped as minors, which reveals something, that the very foundation of prostitution and sex work is built off pedophilia. It's important to note how they are being exploited as minors for financial gains and for sexual satisfaction. A person could just ask that if they suffer all of the mental health, like clients asking for unrealistic demands and all of the risk involved in sex, why can't they just stop? The truth of the matter is, this is all they've known their whole lives, and in order for them to stop, then they're going to need help and support, which is why this episode exists today, to shine light on someone who has made it her life mission to provide help and support to these people. And so we're going to be talking about TMA, also known as Mrs. Doreen Omosele, who has made it her life mission to not judge these people, but empathize with them and help transform their lives from sex workers to people who are capable of impacting society as a whole. Hello guys, my name is Victor Akan and I want to welcome you to this episode of my Breath of Hope podcast. Now today, expect to have content on Mrs. Doreen Omosele and the amazing stuff that she does. But before I begin with her, I want us to watch this video.
The TMA that people know today, she has been through hell and back. Growing up as a child was full of pain. I was raped at the age of 6. I was abused for years. I didn't just live in pain. I knew pain. And the worst part of my childhood was that nobody knew I was in pain. My heart was heavy with guilt and shame. I was a child, but my heart was not a child. I looked innocent, but I was broken. And then the addictions followed. Name it: pornography, masturbation. I was a total mess. When I got into secondary school, something funny happened to me. I had this very close friend. He was a guy. We really liked each other, and I felt that the friendship that we had was innocent. Like, this is not another person that was going to take advantage of me. So he would see me off when we closed from school, to a point, and then he would go to his house. But one day he said to me that he wanted to tell me something that has been bothering him, and I was like, okay, what's this? And then he said to me that, Shebi, I know that he's an adolescent. He had started growing beards and all of that. And he was just stuttering. Like, I was like, what's going on? And then he said he wants to ask for a favor. And I said, okay, what's up? And then he said that, can I give him sex? Like, I was taken aback. Like, what is this? I remember going home that day in tears. I cried my way home. I was pained that every time I had to encounter guys, the only thing they could see in me was sex. And I remember going home that day, I said to God, I didn't have a relationship with God, but I just lifted up my face to the heavens and I said, God, why is this happening to me?
Now, in this video that we've watched, we can see, her backstory, where she says that, she was sexually abused at the age of 6. And it's very important to note, because this, took her down through a series of other issues like addictions that she has mentioned, masturbation, pornography, all of those things. There's also something very important, and it's the fact that a lot of times when you've been sexually abused as a minor, one very recurring thought that is going to come to your mind is you're going to feel like you're a sex object. In our own case, every guy or almost everybody that was involved in her life probably saw her that way. And so she always fought with the thought that, okay, am I a sex object? Am I not a sex object? And maybe there was this guy that, she felt safe around, that maybe gave her some semblance of hope. And then he says, you know what, I'm an adolescent, experiencing puberty, I want to have sex. Can you help me out? And that crashed the little hope that she had that maybe I'm not a sex object. She said, okay, I'm a sex object. Now, of course, she went through a series of high and lows, encountered Christ. After that, got mentored, all of those things. And, God now took her through a series where he says, I'm not just going to transform you, but I'm going to use you and help you to transform other people. So it's a case whereby she was scarred as a child. She went through a series of downward progress, getting into addictions and all sorts. met God, got transformed, and then God says, let me put a purpose in your heart. I think about 2015, from what I read, one of the first times she had that vision, and she came up with this slogan that sex workers are made for more. I mean, which is really just beautiful in a society that believes that if you're a sex worker, your past is not always your past, ABC, we should always judge you as a sex worker, things like that. There's always this stigma for people who were sex workers not being given a chance by society. They will always be seen in view of the past, regardless of the progress they've made to overcome that past. She's saying sex workers are made for more. Not ex-sex workers, but sex workers are made for more. Very beautiful. A semblance of hope for the lost and for the most stigmatized people in society. With that slogan, I think she started her first outreach in April 2017 in the city of Calabar, in a brothel in Calabar. And of course, she went, through the words of, the message of the gospel, which is a message of love, also with gifts, trying to reach out to people. And, within that time, I think she has gone to Ibadan, Benin City, Calabar, Lagos, Abuja, you just name it, from the south to the north to the west. She has done amazing work and reached out to over 500 ladies as a result. Now, it's very commendable because you must understand that you have the part of budget. You have the part where you want to reach out to millions of people, but you have the part of budgetary constraints and all of these things. And with the little that she has done amazing for herself and for the ladies in question. Now, she founded the Blossom Girls Outreach Foundation, BGOF, in I think 2017, around that same time. And the whole essence was or is to reach out to these women, look for creative ways to reach out to these women, try to get the ones you can get, help them. She doesn't just reach out to them. She understands that transformation is an end-to-end goal, which involves spiritual transformation, mental transformation, financial transformation. So what does she do? She reaches out to them through the Outreach Foundation, puts them in a rehab center, a house where they get to live, trains them spiritually, helps them mentally. This is not who you are made for more. Helps them skill-wise. Why? Because when you're done helping them spiritually and transforming how they think, you also want to ensure that when they go out into society, they have some sort of value besides what they've been taught by society that they are just sex objects. And you also help them financially so that they can begin to start from somewhere, some sort of capital. And she does this in a wholesome manner, which I think is just beautiful. Of course, she has had challenges here and there, a lot which I really don't know about because I'm really just doing research based off what I can see. But from what I have seen, I heard that at a point when she started, they had to shut down the rehab center because the landlord heard that, it's in a process, they bring come your place. And the one was like, you know what, I can't deal. I don't care if it's being used as a rehabilitation center, but I had to shut it down. Although they did state that the man was in a although they did state that the man knew before they came to rent the place, but maybe he just changed his mind midpoint. But the point is this, that they were left with the burden of having to locate a house for these people. And of course, living in Nigeria with the discrimination and the stigma, people will most likely not agree, but they're eventually able to get somewhere else for these people. Of course, cost millions of naira, the sacrifices and all of those things. Now, I think at some point I heard that she had to sell a car, just not for herself, not for her children, not for her husband, for these women. Currently, given the budget that she has, she's able to train 5 people or help 5 people, rehab centers and all at any given point in time, which means that if you go to a rehab center, there are at least 5 people at every given point. I think there was a time I read that there were about 12 people, which again is beautiful for the level that she's at and the amount of work she's doing. Massive stuff. Now, this is what some of her people have had to say over time. One said, I never knew people who seek to love us and help us exist because people mock us and treat us with no love and respect. But BGOF came to show us love. As, again, a sex worker, people just see you as one word. 2 words, sex objects. People stigmatize you, use you when they want to have fun, insult, stigmatize, and look down on you when they're done having fun with you. But so it's possible that your whole reality is that we don't matter. People don't value us. So this was the experience of someone who said she didn't know because of her day-to-day experience, which is just sad. Somebody else said this: I felt this opportunity was a scam when I first heard about it, and people tried to discourage me from coming. But when I came, I saw with my eyes that it's not a scam, but it's real. I feel loved being in the Blossom House. This is someone who was, at the time, going through the whole rehab experience, who said that she thought it was a scam. Why? It was too good to be true. Because your whole life has been built off transactions, money for sex, money for sex, money for sex, which means that when somebody is coming to give you an opportunity with no string attached, you think that this is too good to be true, therefore it has to be a scam. Because all your life you've known transactional stuff. Another person said this: I was drawn to the beautiful woman on the book cover, and reading it made me quit prostitution. So she has a couple of books. I think this was the Purple book, the book called Purple. Okay, and this person read it and it transformed her whole life. She goes on to say she read the book and declared that the book was written for her. She met Doreen and her team sprung into action to get her into the rehabilitation center and help her out. Now, this is her testimony. She's saying that the foundation supported her with monthly stipend during her transition, helped her get a legitimate job, provided capital for her small business, securing housing for her, and even covered her child's school fees. Now, today, this woman is independent and safe, a proud alumni of the Blossom House. Her story is one the NGO holds dear, proving that a single book and a compassionate hand can redirect a life. Now, this is somebody who just read a book. I'm sure when God said, write this book, she was just like, okay, let me just write the book. But somebody saw this book and said, this lady is speaking to me. And from there, series of transformations was made possible in her life. And just like I explained, she helps you in a wholesome manner. This lady was helped in a wholesome manner, spiritually, mentally, financially. And today, she is doing good for herself. Another testimony to the beautiful work that Doreen is doing. So you see how Doreen was sexually abused, went through a series of bad stuff, came out of it, wasn't just saved, but was saved to save others. And the person that she saved in this context is now saved to save others. And that's how the cycle is meant to go. That's when God is saying you're not just a blessing, or rather when God is saying I won't just bless you, but I'll bless you to be a blessing. So society at the end of the day can be better for it. So she's not just helping others, but she's creating blessings out of other people. Now, last year, Doreen said something along the lines of over 400 people reached, more still coming. I think they've reached over 500 people. And I think that it's just beautiful that she's been able to do this. It's not easy, especially it's easy to think 500 until you're given the task with limited funding and you have to do all of this, sacrifices, make all of these sacrifices. And you realize that truly, if you're not called for this, you would have quit by now. Beautiful stuff she's doing. I think that, her story is one that draws inspiration. Her story is one that says, do not judge anybody by where they are starting. When God takes a life, He transforms it to the level whereby you don't even recognize that life anymore. That's one of her story. Now, she has a website called blossomgirlsoutreachfoundation.org, and I would just urge you to donate whatever you can to support her cause. No amount is too small, right? But I think there are classifications, but no amount is too small, literally. I think that she's doing beautiful stuff and she needs all the support that she can get. Doing amazing for herself, but no help is ever too small. Every help you give is one step closer to helping someone off the street to full rehabilitation. And Mrs. Doreen, I want to thank you for everything that you do for society, for these ladies who think that they have no way out, but through you, God has helped them create a way out. Thank you for the work that you've been doing, and I think that your story is one of inspiration. You inspire me. I want to thank you for all the work you do, and I pray that God helps you to do even much more. Thank you so much, guys, for staying this far with me. Now, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you might never see me again. If you don't want that, subscribe.